Bison Workshop. I'm Bob, and today we're going to work on the tractor and not the trailer. But anyway, look, I just cleaned all these off. These old spider webs. It don't take long for them things to hit. But anyway, I went to focus on the tractor and put the wiring harness in, put the gas tank in, put a little bit of gas in it, and get it ready to start. Now remember, I've had this tractor for going on a year, and I've never heard this motor run. I've never even tried to start it. I cleaned it up, nothing, never done anything but clean it up. And so I got it to the point where I could crank it up. It wouldn't start. And it acted like it was out of time. And so the first thing I thought of was maybe the keyway shear pin was sheared on the flywheel. So I pulled the flywheel back off and it was fine. Well, I also had gas leaking from the carburetor, so I had to stop the hose with a pair of vice grips to keep it from getting fuel to the carburetor, take the carburetor off and clean it and go inside of it. And it was just the bowl. The bowl wasn't sealing. So I got that straightened up. Well, I went and got my tester, if I can find it here. I got my tester to test it to see if it was getting fire. Well, it was getting fire. Well, I can't find it. It was getting fire, but it wouldn't get fire with the plug on it. So, if I plugged the plug up to it and put it up against the body of the motor, it was getting no fire. But it would get fire with the tester. So it didn't make no sense why it was that way. So I took the coil off, cleaned all the contacts again, and retried it. Well, I went ahead and ordered another one. Well, then I got to thinking, because I noticed every video where I've watched somebody working on this motor, that coil, which is right here, I'll show you. Let me get you over here so we can show you how it was. Here is how my coil was. It was like that right there. So I was looking on YouTube at everybody else's, and everybody else's was like this. So I got to thinking, okay, can you put a coil upside down? Because there is a secondary and a primary winding in them. And I got to looking at my old video where I was cleaning this motor up and taking it apart and found the nest in it and everything. This was that way, because this plugged on the top, and now I gotta move this wire in, because now it don't reach. Alright, there we go. Anyway, so this is the focus of this video, is to see if you can actually put a coil upside down on a Kohler 15.5 engine. because I looked online trying to find, I put it in the search several times, different ways. Can you put a coil upside down, or upside down coil, if it'll run if it's upside down? I tried all different combinations. I couldn't find nothing on that. So hopefully I'm going to be the first one to show you that yes or no, you can put a coil upside down and it'll make the difference of whether it runs or not. So I'm going to go ahead and remember, this is the way mine was to begin with. So I'm going to show you how I'm going to put this thing together. So you turn this flywheel so that the magnet is away from it. And you make sure that these here surfaces are clean. Now, I want to show you one other thing here. Watch this. I seen somebody do a video showing that you can file these, and he filed one at a time. That's not a good idea to file one at a time. Yes, you can file them and clean them up a bit, but if you file it, you want to file both of them at the exact same time so that you're basically machining a surface that is square. So when you file, you put it on both of them and file. So see, you're doing both of them at the same time, and you know that they're going to be parallel with each other. So you file that just like that. Mine's pretty clean, so I don't really need to do too much. Alright, so you got good, nice, clean surfaces. Alright, so now we're going to put this on there. And you start your screws. And then you want to back that up all the way. Back as far as it'll go. And just snug them. Now you notice what I'm doing? I'm putting it on upside down. We already know that it's not going to run in that orientation. So I was getting ready to do the same mistake again. I guess I'm one of them guys that don't learn from my mistakes. And I'm going to find out if that's true. That's what we're trying to find out. Alright, so we want to pull this back all the way as far as it'll go. Snug that down. Then you turn your flywheel. It's got really good compression. So we know that the flywheel's good, or the compression's good. Alright, so now we take, and I use a manila envelope that you would find in a file cabinet that holds files. And I cut one up, and I've got a whole bunch of these. So then you put that in there and let the magnet pull itself on there. And then you tighten those down. So we're going to tighten that down. You don't want to go hog wild on it. Alright, and then you plug this back in. Oh, there's my tester. No wonder I couldn't find it. Alright, well, we're going to leave that hooked up. just so that we can see if we're getting any fire. Alright, so pull that out. And make sure there's nothing in the way. Now we're going to try this with it flywheel cover off. And we're going to see if we got any juice. So you want to make sure there's nothing in the way of the flywheel, and you don't want to be putting your hands anywhere near this if it starts. We're not going to keep it running, we're just going to see if it'll run. So remember, the coil was in the opposite orientation when I started, and this is the way it was originally. So if this starts, that means that I was not paying attention, and it was my fault that this wouldn't start. Alright, well, we're getting fire, so let's pull this back off. Put our spark plug back together. Alright, well, we're not getting anything. So apparently the coil is bad, and the reason I say that, yes, I was getting spark, and we're going to try one more thing. We're going to try to take that plug out and put another one in, just to see if that's the issue. It's dry, so let's try another one. Before we do, let's see if we're getting any spark on this one. Yeah, we're getting spark, so it's not the plug. While I'm at it, this one here was the original one that came out of it. I want to try it too and see if it's got spark. Yep, it's got spark too. Alright, so we're going to put the original one back in because it's nicer to have the original stuff in it. Let's plug that back. Let me move this hood out of my way. This hood is definitely in my way. Alright. I gotta fix my tube here. I had to shorten it because the end was broke. So let's try this one more time. Sorry about that, guys. Alright, so now we're not getting anything. We got fire. We know we got fire. And a motor requires three things to run: air, fuel, and fire. We got fire, we got air. Now we need to rule out fuel. Now, I know I'm getting fuel to the carburetor because I've already tested that out. I already know that because when I first put the carburetor up, or put fuel to it, it was pouring out of the carburetor from the bowl. So we know we're getting fuel, but we're going to check it to see if maybe the carburetor is not working correctly, it may be stopped up. I didn't check that. All I did was cleaned it up on the outside and sealed the bowl. So now we're going to test to see if it works with putting gas in it. We're going to try this. We are going to see if starting fluid will work. It's not recommended to run this very long with starting fluid, but this will give us an indication, and we're not going to run it long enough to hurt anything. But this will give us a starting point to find out what the problem is. We need to rule out one or the other. The coil or the carburetor. Which one do you guys think it is? Let's wait for you guys to answer that question. No? You don't have an answer? Alright, well, we're going to try this and see if this works. If it starts, then we know it's the carburetor. If it doesn't start, then we're still back to the coil. So, let's give it a try. Alright, there's the problem. Yeah, my frog had to get in the middle of this. Carburetor's the problem, not the coil. So, looks like I'm getting a carburetor. I want to show you guys that frog. He's about a noisy bastard. You see him wedged in between there? Look at that. We're going to have to make this the Bison Workshop's theme. Show a creature in every frickin' video. But we call him Lucky now. The reason he's lucky is because my Oscar, if anybody is interested in fish and aquariums, I have another channel called Bison's Aquarium, and I have a bunch of Jack Dempsey's and an Oscar, but my Oscar is really badass. For anything that you put in his tank, he wants to eat it. And I threw that frog in there to see if he'd eat that frog. He went after him and couldn't catch him, and he kept getting up inside the hood, so I didn't want him loose in the house, so I finally decided to take him out of there because he couldn't catch him. But if he could have caught him, he would have ate him. But we call him Lucky because I brought him back out here and put him next to the barrel, and he lives right there around that barrel. So I guess he's out for the mosquitoes at nighttime or something, I don't know. But anyway, there's the problem fixed. We know what the problem is. It's not fixed yet. The problem is the carburetor. And I had that feeling to begin with, that it was the carburetor, but somebody talked me out of getting a carburetor. I won't mention their name. You know who you are. I don't know why, when I have a gut feeling, I'm usually 99.9% correct. I seem to have a problem letting people talk me out of my feelings. So just to show you that to that person I'm talking to, when I have a gut feeling about something, you may want to listen instead of arguing with me and trying to steer me away from that conclusion, because that conclusion is usually 99.9% correct. And I had a feeling that's what the problem was. I have yet to have problems with the coil. Well, actually I can't say that. I have had coil problems, but they're so few and far between, and for as long as this thing is set and the way it looked, and I'll show you a little clip of what that looks like right now, and show you how this thing was treated. So with gas laying in a carburetor for a long period of time, 9 times out of 10 that carburetor is going to be trashed. And instead of me rebuilding this and still have a 50-50 chance of actually getting it to work correct, because it's got veins in them, and if the veins are clogged with gummed up or caramelized gasoline, getting that stuff out next to impossible in most cases, especially for as long as this thing is set. So they're cheap enough. Just buy another carburetor, be done with it, and go on with life. It's a whole lot simpler and a lot less aggravation. So I'm going to work towards getting a carburetor for this thing. So I've already got a coil coming for it. So I'm just going to have this as a spare and put my new coil on it, and get a new carburetor to put on it, and we're going to call it a day. So there you have it. The problem solved. Now we just got to find a way to fix the problem financially. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this little long diagnosis and problem solving so-called fix. Don't forget to like, share, comment, subscribe. And if you want to contribute to the shop to help the shop get a little bit further down the road, you can do so by PayPal at bisonworkshop@gmail.com. Any contributions would be appreciated and needed. I hope you guys enjoyed this. You guys have a good one. Later.